Charleston's first trucking expo is rolling into the Lowcountry September 17th with industry speakers, a kids zone, vendors, and CDL scholarships. Make sure to come to Ladson Exchange Park on September 17th and visit charlestontruckexpo.com.
Your vote for me to become your mayor of North Charleston.
Hello.
Let me change.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
All right.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. I'm coming to you live at special time, 7 o'clock. Or, okay, to be exact, 7:00. Okay, a little after 7 o'clock. My normal start time is Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. So please, you and everybody you know, subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. We are celebrating our 3rd year anniversary of the Geno Jones Show. 3 years ago, 3 years and 7-8 days. So a week ago last Monday. October 2nd officially marked the 3rd year anniversary of the Geno Jones variety show, coming to you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And any episodes you ever missed, you can binge watch all 3 years worth. Just make it a weekend or night. Sit up, get some popcorn or some ice cream. You can't sleep, insomnia. Just binge watch 3 years worth of the Geno Jones variety show. Great celebrity guests. Very important content. I use humor and entertainment, radio host, comedian, author, motivational speaker, brand ambassador, all that to basically inform, inspire, motivate, educate, enlighten the culture and the community. Our community as people of African descent, the African diaspora, and just people as in terms of the human race, all of us. So today I got a really special show. So normally I have a monologue, but today I said I didn't want to do a typical monologue. I mean, there's a lot I could be talking about, but I'll save that for tomorrow. I'll save talking about Puffy being sued for $1 million because he wanted somebody. Was it Biggie or Tupac? Whatever. A lot of this, Jada Pinkett said that Chris Rock wanted to take her out on a date. We'll get into all of that tomorrow. But October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and if you've been a fan of the show for 3 years, you know it's something that I'm very passionate about. Being an advocate to end of domestic violence, period, and specifically violence against women, because it's something that affected me as a young child, as a 4-year-old child. And I'm honored to be a part of, there's something called a Hope Walk here. Butch Kennedy and Lisa Kennedy are just two incredible people that are advocates to end domestic violence, among other things. They had a great event a couple months ago, Boys to Men Conference, that I was honored to be a part of. But every year for the last several years, Butch Kennedy and his beautiful spouse have been a part of. They've created and they sponsor and put on this Hope Walk to just raise awareness and support organizations to end domestic violence. So I don't want to waste any more time because I'm honored that they were able to join me. There you see on camera the aforementioned Mr. Butch Kennedy and his beautiful queen, brilliant queen, my Nubian sister, Miss Lisa Kennedy. Hello to both of you who I consider family. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Again, I think you guys can hear me.
Hey, Geno, thank you for having us.
Oh, good. No, well, listen.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So I think your screen may have froze up a little bit. So and Queen Lisa, thank you, my sister. You're the better half of the
Thank you.
duo.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here with you.
Butch got blessed like I did. We both outkicked our coverage. We traded up. So
Yeah, we definitely did that.
Absolutely.
We definitely did that.
So
I'm definitely proud too.
as you guys heard me talk about in my lead-in, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month for me, and Butch, I know for you, you guys know I've talked about it, and Lisa, so do you. For me, every day, every month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I know I've shared my story many times about how my mother was pregnant with my baby sister, who's 5 years younger than me. I was about 4. And the man who was my baby sister's father, was beating my mother. We lived in a two-flight apartment in Chicago on the second floor that had an enclosed back porch. And I can see it as clear as I can see you guys on camera, that this man was beating my mother. And I fought him. I only came up to his waist, but I ran at him and I tried to knock him down and fight him to get him off my mother. And I can still see that image is seared in my brain. So we talking about over 5 decades that I live with that image, and that's been an inspiration for me to fight and try to protect women specifically, but just protect anyone, because yes, men are victims of domestic violence, but the vast number of victims of domestic violence have always been women. And since it affected me in such a personal way, I wanted to make sure, actually my mother wanted to make sure that, these are her words. She said, Jeannie, I never want any other woman. I don't want anyone else's daughter. And I don't want any other woman to go through what I went through, especially at the hands of you. So I'm going to make sure that you don't grow up to be that guy. So we fast forwarded, and like I said, Butch and Lisa, you guys have been huge advocates. So, Butch, or we ladies first? Lisa, whoever wants to go first. Let's talk about the home walk, the Hope Walk, but National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I don't know if people really realize how serious a problem this still is, and how it's still taboo, unfortunately, in some circles and some families, that we don't want to talk about it. And there's no prototype, there's no profile in terms of age, race, professional level. I mean, it could be someone who's a blue-collar worker, it could be a pastor, it could be a police officer, it could be a mayor, it could be a politician, it could be a teacher, it could be anyone, and it has. So, Butch and Lisa, you guys can speak to that much better than I can, so I just want to give you the floor and let you start off in terms of how should we start this conversation off in terms of generating more awareness, not just in October, but every month, every day.
Well, I think I'm going to let my husband go ahead and explain the event, because it was his wonderful dream.
Yes.
And so he best puts it there, and then we'll go ahead and have the discussion.
Right. So thank you very much to my beautiful wife. Geno, I do want to say this, that, I had a vision of what I wanted to do in the community as far as is raising awareness to domestic violence. But I got to give kudos to where kudos belong, man. Representative Wendell Gilliard actually helped us get on the bridge. We were going to just walk around College of Charleston, not College of Charleston, but Charleston Southern University. We're going to walk around the track. And that was the original plan for the original first Hope Walk. And we had a conversation, sat down with him, had a conversation. He said, well, we need to be walking on the bridge. And ever since then, we've been doing it. And it's been an amazing event. It's highlighting victims of domestic violence. We tell the stories, we share the stories. We get to give the victims their voice, right? So that we can share their experience with our community. Because a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people suffer in silence. Domestic violence is something we don't ever want to talk about, right? Even in most families, right? When you the big thing in all mainly Black families was what goes on at home stays at home.
Yeah.
Right. So, and your parents would definitely drill that into your head as you were growing older. What goes on at home stays at home. And that's what allows the silence of domestic violence to fester in our community and to run rampant in our community. My wife is an advocate, and we have been doing this domestic violence walk. This is year number 8. So we're excited about year number 8. So now my wife's turn.
I don't know if my screen is freezing up too, but Butch, you may want to join me because your screen is freezing up pretty badly.
Thank you, Lisa. That is a good point. We can hear you,
Yeah.
but your screen has been freezing up. Lisa, your screen is perfect. So if you just want to kind of take the ball,
if you
take
want
the
to
baton.
join me, if you want to join me, I'll let you come into this room if you want. But anyway, so you were right when you touched on the fact that there really should not be 1 month that we pay attention to this crime, because domestic violence affects families. It affects the future of many of our young people. And either one or two things is going to happen to individuals that come out of that home sometimes. Well, I'll say 3 things. They will accept abuse if they witness it, or they will go on to abuse, or they will be like you, Geno. They will hate it with everything in their soul, and they'll go on to try to make a difference. And so I think that if we start to pour in and educate, your mother had the wisdom to make sure that she shared with you what she didn't want to see. But so often victims, they're so busy trying to protect their kids, they're not having the conversation with them when they're in these abusive relationships. So we need to be putting this into our kids in schools at young ages, talking to them also when they're in middle and high school about dating violence, and making this a continuous topic so that people understand. Because for this simple reason, if when you look back at the history on so many violent criminals, domestic violence was there. It was present.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that we have to think about. And that we're in these homes. I was law enforcement for a brief amount of time, and riding on patrol through neighborhoods. After a while, I would start to look at front doors, and I would think to myself, nobody knows what's going on behind that door right now.
So true. Yeah.
Private and quiet crime that needs to be put to rest.
So Butch, we got you in there. So I just, since you're on camera, Butch, I want you to speak to this, and then Lisa can kind of give us an action plan in terms of how we can support victims, how we should not shame victims, because there's a lot of that going on. But Butch, I've said this on this show many times. I know you and I have had many conversations, and I've said violence against women is not a woman's problem. Violence against women it's generally speaking, it's a man's problem, and it's up to men like you and I who abhor violence against women, who it touches us. It's touched us in a personal way to make sure that we have honest, and we can do it from a position of having love, as like the agape love of the love that you would have for a brother. It's like, listen, brother, I love you as a man and as a person. So we need to have this conversation, because what you are doing is unacceptable, and we need to create a culture or create a climate in the culture to where violence against women. This is what we don't do, and start with our young boys up to grown men. So if you might want to piggyback on it, but we've had that conversation many times, and so much of it. I'm not a professional, but I've been in this world and talked to other professionals. So a lot of it is connected to either mental illness or just having a mental crisis, substance abuse. A lot of times people self-medicate because society has kind of told men that, you know, you can't cry, you can't weep, you're not supposed to talk about your problems. Be a man, suck it up. And what happens, you suck it up into your subconscious brain, and then you wind up trying to somehow numb the pain. And unfortunately, we hurt the people that's closest to us, who in a lot of cases we claim that we love, because we don't have power over maybe someone at our job that's not treating us right, or just a society in general that's very oppressive and still racist when it comes to black men and black people and black women. So, Butch, why don't you kind of piggyback on that? Because I know we had that conversation, and the Boys and Men Conference was a great example of having some real honest, real barbershop conversations about just what it's really like, what is being a man really all about, and what is not, what real men don't do. And real men, or men at all, do not batter women verbally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in any kind of way.
And that's actually our motto, right? Real men against domestic violence. Real men don't hit women. You spoke brilliantly about everything it is that we teach our young boys when we have our Boys to Men Conference. Our goal is not only to teach them, but to show them men that respect women. A lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of people that I follow them because of the way they interact with their woman, right? I love to see that. I love to see that agape love that you're talking about. It means the world to me to show that we can love and respect our Black queens, right? Because, I mean, you said this earlier, you mentioned this earlier, us men aren't taught how to do that, right? We have to learn that over time. And the sad reality is people like you and I now, right? We should be teaching our youth how to do that. And that's what Boys to Men Conference does, right? We teach our youth that it's okay to show that emotion, right? Because we as men, we grew up emotionally detached, right? Because we weren't allowed to express those feelings and those emotions. And I remember my wife would say, "How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel?" When we were doing things, I didn't know how to answer that question because I really didn't have feelings, right? Because those feelings were taken away from me at a young age, right? So I didn't really know how to answer those questions. I really didn't know what I didn't know until I actually did a lot of research on this topic, right? So I think it's our responsibility as men, right, that once we get older, to pour this type of knowledge into our kids. We don't want them to wait till they get in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s to understand, you know, that real men don't hit women, right? That's not what we do. And under no circumstances should we hit any woman, right? Our goal is the accountability, right? As the men in the community, we need to hold each other accountable, right, for our mess. And we need to be able to work together and accept that accept that criticism, right? Just accept it, right, and learn from it, and know that it's coming from a place of love, right? So when you have those conversations with your friend, because you know what they're capable of doing and what they're doing, you know, we need to be able to have them honest conversations.
And Butch, let me offer this suggestion. And I know there are probably some men who would view that conversation that we were having, that we would have, that we're talking about, that we've had, as criticism. But I say, no, listen, brother, I'm not critiquing you. I'm having a conversation with you, and I want to share a perspective, some wisdom, some knowledge that was shared with me as a young child. Because do you understand the damage that you are not just doing physically and emotionally to the woman, but to any children that are in that environment that witness it, either they see it like I did, or even if they don't see it, they hear it, and they can feel the tension, and they can see the fear and the anxiety in their mother's eyes. So I'd say, it's not a critique. It's a conversation from love. We want you to be the best version of yourself. And if I can share something with you and a perspective that maybe you, and talk about what's at the root of that anger, and find you some help. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I can refer you to some. I can help you, and I can tell you that there's no shame. I mean, we're all human. We all have baggage. We all have a history. So deal with the pain. Don't be afraid. It doesn't make you saying, "Hey, I need help." Doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more of a man, that you've got the courage to say,
Yeah.
"I want to be better than I am now, and I need help."
But what our youth are looking for is permission to say that, right? I mean, they have to wear this mask. They have to be tough. They have to be brave, right? They're looking for permission from people like us to say it's okay. And it's sad. I know my wife is chewing at the bit, but that's what they want. They want us to say, yeah, it's okay, and then they can actually be free to be the men that they need to be,
and even the women that they need to be, because unfortunately, with female victims of domestic violence, it's hard to get them to accept that they can share what happened. We come from a community that doesn't believe in therapy. First of all, I'm not going to get therapy. No, can't do that, can't do that. And then when they're in a position where they can stop the violence, oftentimes they're too afraid to testify, too afraid to tell anyone, but they will never let that be seen. I can remember when I started out as a court advocate with victims of domestic violence, going to court, and Black women would sit on the stand, and when they're asked the question in an order of protection hearing where you're seeking a protective order, do you fear him? Oh, no, I don't fear him. But now I've sat with you for 2 hours and you told me his threats. You cried. You explained that you can't go back to your house. But in that room where other people are, they're not going to let that barrier down. They have that mask on too. That I have to be strong, because that's what we're taught in the Black community. Even though we someone may be beating us on a regular basis, I still have to come out on the outside as being tough. And so as well, we have to tell our women. So what essentially happened, I had a white partner that was a court advocate as well. So, we came to the conclusion, I need to have the young Black girls because I need to have a talk with them. And my talk often went like this: hey, look, you may be tough outside this courtroom, but today you need to come in there and you need to let that judge know how you feel so you can get custody of your kids. You can get this order of protection, and we can continue with the things that you need. And oftentimes it would work.
I'm so glad you went there, because you basically led me to my next question. So I want to just go back real quick to what happened with my mom. So after witnessing what I witnessed, this man moved my mother away from my grandparents. I stayed with my grandparents because my grandparents caught him thumping me in the back of the head. Basically, they said, Jeannie can't go, because my grandfather, he was like, look, if something happens to Jeannie, something's going to happen to him. So that's not his child. He doesn't like Jeannie because it's not his child. You can't take him. He's staying with us in Chicago. You're grown, and we can't stop you if you want to move to Michigan, a little small town in Michigan, with him and their 2 daughters, my 2 sisters, which were by him. But unfortunately, it got so bad, and one day my mother told me this story. Lisa, I know she's watching. Because my mom overcame alcoholism. And I asked her, how did she started drinking? And she told me, every day around 4:30, when he would come home, she would hear the key in the lock. And she literally would get like a knot in her stomach. The anxiety level was completely off the charts. And she said one day, I guess there was some alcohol in the house. And she said that one day she took a drink, and then one day led to 2 days, because she said literally every day when she heard that key in the lock at 4:30, she knew at that moment that she was literally going to have to physically fight for her life.
Yes.
So what can we do as a community and as a culture? Because that happens a lot. What you talked about in terms of wanting to be, I'm a strong Black woman. I ain't gonna take no stuff, but you're human. We all are human. How can we create what can we do to be advocates? What kind of action plan should we do collectively to empower women and to give them that safe space and know that, hey, listen, we're here for you in any kind of way? What would you advise us to do?
But the first thing we need to do, Gino, is believe them. Right, that's the biggest problem that we have within our community. Our community doesn't even believe them, right?
Yeah.
And then once we start to believe them, start to listen to them, right? Listen to their stories, and we want to be that safe space, right? So we want to make sure the victims can come in and that they can share their stories, and that they know that at the end of the day they're going to be valued, respected, and safe. And that's what they want. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, when many victims take that first step to go ahead and make that call to law enforcement, oftentimes they're not believed. But I think therapy is an important thing. Some years ago, Butch and some others in the communities started a program where they did faith-based training. So they went to our clergy and they asked, can we teach your deacons, can we teach the pastors in this church a little bit about domestic violence? Because we don't want these pastors out here saying, oh, in sickness and in health until death do us part, and you got to stay with him, because God doesn't want his people to suffer. He does not want his people to suffer. So we had to work on educating them, because like I said, in our community, we don't want the traditional therapists. So sometimes we might ease on into the faith-based community and talk to them a little bit. And so we wanted those pastors that might think something's going on, or someone may come to them and say, hey, this sister is going through this. We wanted them to understand the worst thing they can do is encourage them to stay.
Oh, God. Yes.
So they need to take those components of the Bible, where God speaks to the fact that, relationships shouldn't hurt, and also refer them to the domestic violence organizations in the community. Tell them it is okay. And that way they start to see, well, maybe that police officer didn't believe me the other night, but this community believes me, and that's the difference. But also, substance abuse is a key factor in domestic violence. I ran a shelter for a period of time, and I kid you not, we had so many women that preyed on even prescription medication. They went to their doctors, and there were drugs, the psychotropic drugs that these women would come into the shelter taking, because a doctor would fall prey to this complaint but never investigated enough. So they would prescribe these drugs. And it was amazing, the behavior. And then also the recreational drugs too, because it helps them deal. Like you said, your mother knew this will take the edge off of what may come to pass.
Right.
I can cope with it better if I go ahead and kill this pain right now with another substance. So as an advocate, there are so many layers to this onion till it's crazy. I've also got to find help to deal with the substance abuse. And in this state of South Carolina, that's a task. Now, they did create a new facility in the North Charleston area, and Butch and I were at DSS yesterday, and we were so happy to hear them talk about it. But you're dealing with substance abuse, homelessness, the potential to be homeless, sometimes injuries that are present. So there are a lot of layers that need to be addressed, and we have got to work hard to put these things in place. We're number 6 in the nation. We stay in the top 10. We went out one time in the last 20 years.
I still believe that was
because we don't take this serious. We have got to arm up, and we've got to take it to not just our Columbia politicians. We need to go to these police chiefs.
Yeah, that's why the Hope Walk is so important, right?
Yes.
That's why we do the Hope Walk every year. We want to raise awareness, but we want the people and the politicians to know that, we're fed up. We're tired of this. We're tired of especially the victims in our community being treated the way that they are, right? We don't even have a domestic violence shelter in the Tri-County area anymore.
They're using hotel stays.
Wait, hold on. Wait, stop. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt. Wait, say that again. We don't have...
We do not have a domestic violence shelter in Charleston, South Carolina, Tri-County area anymore. We sold, the shelter was sold. Horry County is building a new shelter. There were 22 shelters in the state of South Carolina. Now there's 21. Horry County is building another one to make it 22. But why would we sell our shelter? I have no idea. I have no clue.
1.5 million they sold it for. So they're doing hotel stays now. Jeez. That's not, if you've got 4 or 5 kids and they stick you in a hotel room, how long do you think you'll last in there? It just is not conducive.
But the sad reality, Geno, is you were surprised when you heard that, right?
I'm shocked.
Our entire community our entire community is surprised when they hear that because they don't know. If you think about it and you listen about it, you still think it's still there, right? That the domestic violence shelter and that victims have a place to go, right? A domestic violence shelter where they can go, but they don't.
So
They
Lisa,
don't.
for women who are watching this show, for families, for people, for anyone that lives here in the Charleston metro area, because like I said, Tri-County, but unfortunately, there are probably other cities, other counties, other states that might be in that same situation. What is a woman to do? What advice would you give a woman in that situation? And what advice should you give us specifically that we can take away from this show, that something that we can tangibly do to make a difference?
Well, understand when we say there's no shelter, because they don't have that traditional one building where a person can wake up in the middle of the night and speak to somebody within that shelter and be provided certain services if they're having a bad evening. But what happens is you call them up and then they send you to a hotel, and that's where you'll stay for your time there. So I still refer individuals to that organization. I still refer them there because sometimes a hotel stay is better than nothing. And that's actually what we started our Hope Walk for, so that we could pay for hotel stays until there was a vacancy in the shelter, because there were times when the shelter would be full. So therefore, we would pay for someone to stay until the shelter, to stay in the hotel until a few days later or a week later, there would be a vacancy. But for a long-term stay, it is not a good practice. So I say to victims, still reach out to your law enforcement victim advocates. Still call my sister's house, because a hotel stay is better than nothing. But we have got to stand up and say that still we have a large number of women that are returning to their abuser because they get so down and out in these hotel rooms. We've had enough in this community. We want to see better services for victims. And so when I say that, we can share our contact information. If you want to volunteer, if you have a story, if you're seeing this show and you have a story that you would like to share, because oftentimes as an advocate, I'm the person that directs you to who you need to complain to whom you need to complain to. So I'm willing to get in there and mix it up with you so that we can go to the right person. But make that call to law enforcement. And I'm going to tell you, we have those little things, those cell phones that we have all the time. You'd be surprised how you can Google. Yes, that thing has knowledge that you will not believe. There's no reason to have to stay in the situation. We can transfer you as well and get you out of this area if need be. So pick the phone up. The number is 1-800-799-SAFE.
Give them that number again, please, Lisa. Give them that number again.
1-800-799-SAFE. And I used to have the other numbers, but I always remember SAFE easier. Yeah. So you can look that. But
and Lisa, let me just jump in and ask you, since for those on those devices, is there a social media site, Instagram, on Twitter, on X maybe, or Facebook, the where people can go and contact you also?
Yes, this man, his Facebook page is very informative. And actually, that's how most of our the individuals that I work with contact us, usually through Butch Kennedy's Facebook page. You can message him, he gets the message, or you can just reach out and he will get in touch. The other number would be 843-602-7829. And I like to laugh and say, I'm that, even though we do not run a 24-hour nonprofit, but I'm that crazy person that still answers the phone at 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 or whatever. And I'm like, hey, I've actually been on the phone when incidents have been taking place. I've been on the phone before police have even arrived. So yeah,
you're one of God's guardian angels. So God bless both of you. So Butch, before we run out of time, give everybody the information about the Hope Walk this weekend, how they can be a part of it, where it's going to be, the times, and what they can do to support everything that you and Lisa are doing to make this community safer and to just hope listen, I know it sounds crazy, but I still hope and pray, and I will use every bit of energy that I have, as long as God blesses me to be on this planet, to try to create a climate to where one day no woman, nobody, but specifically no woman has to ever feel the way that my mother and all the millions and millions of women, the not just the physical scars, but it's the mental and emotional scars that sometimes never heal. Physical scars can't heal, but the mental and emotional scars, you guys know as well as I do,
Oh yeah, they
those
never go
scars
away.
sometimes.
Never go
And not
away.
only do they not heal, that epigenetic trauma is passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
That's key.
Exactly. So the Hope Walk is this Saturday, October the 14th. We're meeting at number 1 Cooper Street, which is St. Julian Divines Community Center. That's number 1 Cooper Street. That's right at the entrance to the Ravenel Bridge. And we're going to walk the bridge. We're going to walk the bridge. We want the community to come out and support. I mean, we really want the community to come out and support. We want to link arms around the bridge, across the bridge, so that, as a show or as a sign of support, right, for these victims and solidarity. We want to make sure that that our politicians can see that our community wants better for our victims in our community. And the sad reality is there's a 1 in 3 women will be victims of domestic violence. That stat is an old stat. It's not 33% now. It's about 45% of women that will become victims of domestic violence. Not exactly 50, but it's close, right? And it's crazy to me that we can have that type of statistic and be silent about it. It can be silent in the home, right? It's the most pervasive crime that I've ever heard, but it is also the number 1 crime in our community. It's the number 1 killer. It's the number 1 reason for death and injury to women under 45. So a lot of people don't really realize what the toll domestic violence brings upon our community. So we want the community to come together and support these victims. That's what the Hope Walk is all about.
And if you cannot, some people have no desire to walk on that bridge. So we will have Zumba taking place.
Yes.
At the, and a lot of times we sit around and we conversate while the others walk across the bridge. Even if it rains, we will go in St. Julian Divine Center and we will still have our program. We have individuals that will be speaking. And this year, we are asking gun violence victims, not just domestic violence victims. We're asking gun violence victims to come out and support, because even with domestic violence, 98% of women of homicides involving domestic violence are done with a gun. They're done with a gun. So we're doing orange and purple. Purple's the color for domestic violence, orange for gun violence. And if you've lost a loved one to gun violence, come on out with your t-shirt on, and let's stand in solidarity.
Butch, get everybody the social media information, your website, your Facebook website, anything else where they can contact you guys, and hope to see everybody. Saturday, what time?
8 a.m.
8
8 a.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. My website is www.palmettohopenetwork.org. And you can get me on Butch Kennedy on Facebook as well. So whatever we can do to help our community to make it safer for all, that's what we're going to do. So come on out, support our victims.
Lisa,
Yes.
Butch Kennedy, man, God bless you guys. I can't thank you enough. You both know how passionate I am about this. You know how personal it is to me. And it is one of my life's missions, life's mission, to do everything I can to be part of the solution and to end this. So thank you. And we'll see everybody Saturday. Please, if you know someone, I know it's tough. A lot of times women are like, I can't leave. I'm not making enough money. He's paying all the bills. Or it's just that I'm trying to keep my family together. I want my kids to have their dad. And a lot of times the women and the families need some therapy, mental health counseling or whatever. And like Lisa is, but she is a great resource. They both are a godsend. Thank you both. And I'll see you guys Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you, man.
All right. Thanks again.
All right.
Hey, listen, thanks for watching, everybody. I know this is a heavy topic, but it's never heavy enough, because think about how heavy the burden is for families, for women. And like I said, I do know that there are men that are victims of domestic violence, but the vast majority of victims of domestic violence are women. So think about how heavy that burden is every day. Like I told you the story about my mother. Just think about how heavy that burden was. She felt that she had to turn to alcohol to numb the pain, to get the courage to physically fight for her life and the life of her 2 young daughters, my 2 sisters, every day in some strange small town far away from your family and friends where you don't know anybody. And the only person that you know is this person who's an abuser. Think about how heavy that burden is on the women, and the children and the families. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. He is the CEO of Designer Cuts. Got a grand opening, got a new location. It is fabulous. Check him out on Instagram, Kel B Cutting Up, KelBeCuttinup. Allie Jones is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check her out and her collection. She is a fashion design superstar, emerging superstar. Check her out and her lx.ncl. She has a crochet collection, a crochet line from handbags to tops and pants and leggings. And little beanie scullies. She has a fall-winter collection. She did a spring-summer crochet line collection, so you can check it out at lx.n like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi, underscore. There's that little dash at the end of the last L. lx.ncl underscore. Thank you for watching at the special start time. Thursday, I will go back to my regular start time, live 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Once again, tell everybody you know and that don't know. Folks you love, like, can't stand, hate, strangers, aliens from outer space. Tell everybody to subscribe, share, copy and paste the link, screen grab it, create a viral moment here. YouTube Shorts, on TikTok, on Snapchat, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Doesn't matter. Like and binge watch all my back episodes. God bless each and every one of you. I love you very much. Thank you for watching once again. We'll see you live. Go back and binge watch all my back episodes. Had a great show last night. Had a great show Monday. We had a special guest, future superstar. Check it out, everybody. Thanks for watching. All right, good night.
Charleston's first trucking expo is rolling into the Lowcountry September 17th with industry speakers, a kids zone, vendors, and CDL scholarships. Make sure to come to Ladson Exchange Park on September 17th and visit charlestontruckexpo.com.
Your vote for me to become your mayor of North Charleston.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.